What is up, everyone? Nintern here. So we just got some more changes on the 12.0.5 PTR. Um, I'm glad we're kind of back in changes season already because, I mean, the season just started, but we're already kind of seeing some stuff. But just to recap, I hope you all are enjoying the season so far. I'm enjoying it really. I had a lot of fun in raid last night, and I'm raiding in 50 minutes from now as of recording this. But let's get into it. So my favorite change by far is that Demon Hunters can now further customize their appearance with new eye options, a new blue eye color, and a flameless option for both blue and green eyes. Great change. I as a Devourer only really anymore player. I used to play a lot of Havoc, but not that much anymore, obviously. I would like to have blue eyes instead of green. And this looks pretty cool. Then specifically to Devourer, developer note, Soul Immolation is intended to help you get your Fury and Soul engine started on pull and in between packs. Spontaneous Immolation triggers once you're rolling, and as such, compromised our intended identity for Soul Immolation. We're reworking Spontaneous Immolation to no longer replace Soul Immolation and adding some hooks to make Soul Immolation more accessible and valuable, particularly in outdoor and solo content. We're also adding some additional tuning hooks and the hunt-focused effects to help it shine in the Void Scarred tree. Just to talk about the dev note, I mean, if they're wanting Soul Immolation to be good on pull and in between packs, and this is reflected in Sims, like in Sims, the best way to use an active Soul Immolation with like Tempered Soul is to use it outside of combat and just. And I mean, I think Chimeras is a good example. Where you kind of have that in between phase, and you can kind of, if you have an active MO, you can kind of ramp back into that, when you want to. Soul Immolation has been updated. No longer deals self damage. Now heals for 24% of your maximum health over its duration. Fantastic change. Just gives us another defensive. I mean, I have really no notes on that and no complaints. Yeah, I mean, that's great. I wish I had better notes for that, but I would much rather it heal me than do damage to me. Spontaneous Immolation has been redesigned. Soul Immolation heals for an additional 6% of your maximum health over its duration, and its cooldown is reset upon killing an enemy that yields experience or honor. This is just the open world talent. Just take it when you're not in raid or Mythic Plus, and you're going to have a good time. Eradicate now deals separate damage to its primary target and its area damage targets. This does not mean that it will do less damage necessarily. All this means is that they can do tuning knob easier with Eradicate, so that they don't have a situation where if they don't want to buffer AoE but they want to buffer a single target, they can nerf Eradicate separately from Call and Reap. Feast of Souls is no longer capped to 20 stacks. I'm hoping the bug gets fixed for this, but good change. Reverse Magic is now available as PvP talent. Cool. Void Scarred Burning Blades has been updated. Now affects Hungering Slash, was Reap. Now additionally increases Reap's damage by 20%. So the thing about this is Hungering Slash needs to be good. And if we're putting Burning Blades on Hungering Slash, that could open up Flamebound melee builds. But with the changes, I'll recap that more at the end because I think there's some more I can say about that. Untethered Fury has been updated. Now increases Void Ray damage by 15%. Cool. Monster Rising has been updated. Now increasing Collapsing Star damage by 15%. That's good. Because the big complaint was that Annihilator had a C-Star tuning knob and Void Scar did not, so builds like the no Apex build existed and were kind of okay. Especially before tier. Violent Transformation has been updated. Now additionally causes the hunt to deal 25% increased damage and reset the cooldown of Soul Immolation. Great change. Great change. The hunt needs to be good. I don't think it resetting the cooldown of Soul Immolation is good at all. I mean, they could have just not done that and no one would have cared. Because you're not pressing it in combat. So, I mean, Mythic Plus change, I guess. I would just say mostly for that. Student of Suffering has been updated. Now increased mastery by 4% and grants 2 Fury. That's a pretty massive nerf to Student of Suffering, because that was one of the bigger tuning knobs to the talent tree. I don't have any answers on how it's going to shake up with Student of Suffering right now, but that definitely could bring Flamebound into consideration, especially with Hungering Slash being on Burning Blades. Blind Focus has been updated. It just got nerfed by 1%. And then 2% in meta. So my kind of overarching thoughts on these changes without Sims in front of me is, I generally speaking am a fan of these changes. I really like, I mean, Eradicate having its own thing is good. I think Soul Immolation, if we're playing it how it's intended, and if Blizzard is correct that they want it to be on pull and in between packs, that's fine with me. Like, I really have no issue with that. It just, I really wish it generated a little bit more resources, but that's kind of, we're kind of beyond the pines on that. But otherwise, for Voidscarred, I'm definitely going to mess around with some of that Voidscarred caster stuff. I'm interested to see... I'm interested to see where a build that potential... I mean, it could... I don't think so. I'm interested to see where Voidscarred builds kind of go after this, and if they end up being better than Anai in any way. I don't think they will be at this moment in time, but I would love to be proven wrong. It's mostly just a question of... And this is still a big problem with just the talent tree in general. If I fill up my talent tree, like as it stands right now, and let's say I want to play a melee... Let's say I want to play a melee C-Star build, right? Grab my Hungering Slash, Void Rage, you know, get all the fixins, whatever. Get my Reap stuff. Okay. So I get to the hunt, which it honestly could also end up being an option between Singular Strikes and Soulforged Blades, like between Raid and Mythic Plus. It just, all this stuff is such a, like, it depends kind of situation, but we're just talking about talent point budget right now. But then let's say, okay, I take my Void Ray and Hungering Slash damage. I get Impending Apocalypse. I take... Let's say I take Soul Glutton in this instance. But I think there would still be debate between Emptiness and Soul Glutton. I'm actually... We'll go with Emptiness for now. This is just a total theoretical. I have 3 points left because I'm going to put these 4 points in my Apex. So if I'm running with this, like, this looks good on paper, but I don't have Devourer's Bite, which is far more needed for Voidscarred single target than it is for Annihilator. I don't have Devourer's Edge. I don't have Calamitous. And, like, yeah, I have the Hunt, but the Hunt needs to be good enough to be better than these things. And I have my Apex, which theoretically should be good. It's the issue is literally just in the fact that like I can't get everything I want, and that's the problem. Because I can get here, but I don't have Demonic Instinct, and especially if I'm, if I'm wanting to play around having like this build where I'm playing, Flamebound, and I want Hungering Slash to do a lot of damage. I want it to crit. But I lose Eradicate, which is such a large portion of our AoE damage, even without Burning Blades, because the Burning Blades change, yeah, it loses the dot, but it does 20% more damage. So it's really, I guess it's really interesting to see how this is gonna play out. I don't have, I guess, a lot of concrete answers right now. Um, and these changes really only affect Void Guard, like the MO thing. Sure, I mean it's really not that big of a deal. Um, the question is really just how this ends up panning out. Are these even live on the PTR? I would be shocked. Yeah, they're not. I like this on paper for like a raid build, but I mean every fight is cleave. So when we lose D-Bite, I mean I think in my personal opinion, I still think a good solution is to make Demonic Instinct and Devourer's Edge 1-pointers, or make Void Rage a 1-pointer, or do literally anything to make it so I don't feel so constricted with my talent budget when I'm playing Void Guard, because it just feels terrible. It just does not feel good to go into my talent page and have to decide between these things when I can just play Annihilator. And yeah, I'm not going to be playing melee talents, but I can just take every good talent I need and not get punished for it because I'm not playing melee stuff. But we'll see how things pan out. I would hope, I'm not going to say for sure because you never know, but I'm hoping for more changes. I think this is a really good start, but the problem is in the Spectre. The problem does not exist because of Void Guard itself. But all right, I will leave you all there. I hope this was kind of informative. I will be making more content coming soon, especially with Nethic Plus coming out, so look forward to that. And be sure to join my Discord in the link below, and also check out my Devourer guide. Otherwise, you all have a wonderful day.